Is there a don't be evil choice? I don't think so. I'm working for an evil corporation. I think it's just part of the name. Alright, so we've got to talk to everyone. Let's look at the journal and see exactly what we've got going on. Lobby board members, 1 out of 7. For internal neuroamp, yes 1, no 0. For Infinity Ltd, yes 1, no 0. Alright. Toss down a quick save.
Did Masako send you to try and convince me to acquire Infinity Ltd? I think we both know that's not going to work.
If you acquired Infinity Ltd, you'd save jobs. It's good public perception. Infinity Ltd doesn't deserve to be part of the Ryujin family. It should be shut down. I feel like you just want to be difficult. Well, not with that attitude. If you acquire Infinity, it'll save jobs.
Our public perception is good enough. If you ask me, reaching out to save Infinity just makes us look weak. The internal neuroamp gives us the power to crush our competitors, not take them under our wing. This is exactly why Masako's time as CEO is finished.
I'm already one step ahead of you. Masako's a better CEO than you'll ever be. I'm not using the internal neuroamp on anyone. It's too dangerous. You're all way too eager to use the neuroamp on one another. I mean, that's true.
Oh? Your response tells me Masako must have given you similar advice. It'd be unlike her to not fully exploit an advantage, especially when she believes acquiring Infinity is the right thing to do.
Manipulation. Listen to reason, Ularu. You know acquiring Infinity is the right choice. Taking on Infinity would be a huge liability, so I'm with you. I could care less about Infinity. They're not my problem. It's heartless to let Infinity die when you know there are benefits to acquiring them. Why are you so against acquiring Infinity Ltd?
The corporate world will hear SSNN's story and believe Ryujin exposed Infinity because they stole from us. It sends a strong message. But acquiring Infinity could be interpreted as a safety net. Infinity tried to screw us over, yet they still survived. We need to be sending a much stronger message. If you mess with Ryujin, we'll shut you down. Period.
Yeah, I don't like you or agree with you. Do I go the evil route and manipulate? Probably. It's heartless to let them die when there are benefits to acquiring them. Hopefully, if that fails, it'll still give me the option to manipulate.
Ryujin Industries isn't a corporation built on heart. I think you know that. The benefits may exist, but the message will be stronger. As long as everyone has Ryujin's best interests in mind, this should make for an interesting meeting.
Speaking of, I plan to bring up the internal neuroamp as an issue in the meeting. With the internal neuroamp, best interests don't matter. It can guarantee success on its own. An interesting meeting, somehow I doubt that. I agree, I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome. I haven't been told by Misako to bring up the internal neuroamp. So... I guess I will ask here and see how this goes.
An issue? That would be a foolish move. Dalton and Alexis are the only two against it. You'd never get the rest to shut it down.
The internal neuroamp is dangerous. That tech only spells trouble for Ryujin's future. If you really care about Ryujin's best interest, you'd vote to shut it down. Do you really think the good aspects of the neuroamp outweigh the bad?
As long as we have the proper safeguards and rules in place, the benefits exponentially outweigh the drawbacks. Even if we limit the usage to Ryujin Industries employees alone, the advantages are too numerous to count.
I'm not going to manipulate her. Her attitudes are so well known that if she was suddenly spouting the complete opposite, I think it would be obvious. So, if you really cared about Ryujin's best interest, you'd vote to shut it down.
Please. Ryujin's best interests are long-term success and growing profits. The internal neuroamp provides both. Now, if you'll excuse me, I still have a lot of preparations to make.
She is a terrible person, though. But she will also be getting caught by Dalton. Maybe I should talk to Dalton first. Dalton. He's back here.
This meeting should prove to be very interesting. I assume Masako briefed you on her preferred outcome.
Yes. I was told to use the internal neuroamp to make sure the board votes to acquire Infinity Ltd. Yes, but I refused to use the internal neuroamp to ensure votes to acquire Infinity Ltd. Masako wants me to guarantee the votes go her way. Of course, I'm the one she's trusting to make things happen. So it seems like, regardless, we are informing him that Masako wants us to use the neuroamp. So I assume he's already aware. Hopefully.
That blasted tech. If it were up to me, I'd have shut down Project Dominion a long time ago. I knew it was a grave security risk, and look what happened.
Manipulation. Project Dominion is essential to future success. It has risks, but nothing you can't handle. We saw firsthand how dangerous that tech is. It should never go to market. You're right. You were against Project Dominion from the start, and don't tell me you actually disagree with Masako on something.
It's not often, but yes. And I'm not the only board member that initially voted against moving forward with the research.
You were against Project Dominion from the start?
Completely. I understand the success it can bring for the corporation, but my only concern here is security. It's not that the board majority fails to see the dangers. It's that they believe we can overcome them. That hubris could easily bring this corporation down one day. I only hope it won't be on my watch.
We saw firsthand how dangerous that tech is. It should never go to market.
You read my mind. Let's just hope Masako and the others see it that way. Plus, if we vote to acquire Infinity Ltd., we're about to add a significant workload onto my team. The last thing I want to deal with are any more incidents this new neuroamp might cause.
Then vote against Infinity. I'm with you. It's too big a risk. No, the acquisition is worth the work. I know your team can handle it. Do you think this is the right time to acquire Infinity Ltd?
Well, the timing could be better, but I don't feel strongly one way or another about the acquisition. We've gone through our fair share in the past, and this one would be no different. If Masako wishes to bring Infinity into the fold, I will not stand against it.
Okay. The acquisition is worth the work. I know your team can handle it.
I imagine we're looking at months of work. Infinity Ltd. is obviously not known for their security. I hope that Masako and the others will be patient with the process. Now, if you excuse me, I have some preparations to make. We'll be announcing Ularu's termination of employment at this meeting, so I need to have security ready to escort her off the premises.
Okay. So, he's basically on my side about everything.
At least if you're here, you're not screwing up out there.
Ouch.
Great, the bane of my department. If you need something, make it quick.
I heard you're not a fan of acquiring Infinity Ltd. I'm just here to ensure you make the right decisions at the meeting. Masako would really appreciate it if you could back her up on acquiring Infinity Ltd. I'm making sure my best interests are met. How am I the bane of your department?
You don't recall our conversation after you were hired? Any legal troubles you cause are my troubles? Steer clear of law enforcement? You've been very busy, and therefore I've been very busy.
Masako would really appreciate it if you could back her on acquiring Infinity Ltd.
Not much to discuss there. I believe I've made my case quite clear to Masako on why I am against it.
Why is that? Persuade legal issues aside, the pros of acquiring Infinity Ltd. Far outweigh the cons. You're right, the burden for all departments would be too extreme. What are the details on why you don't want to acquire Infinity Ltd.?
I can guarantee that Infinity Ltd. was up to more than just the current charges. The process of finding and following up on all those threads won't be easy. I refuse to be blindsided by another corporation's past, so this is going to take a lot of time and patience.
Persuade. Legal issues aside, the pros of acquiring Infinity Ltd. far outweigh the cons.
All right, I could use the entertainment. Tell me why Infinity is a good asset.
So I need to get 8 pips in 3 turns. I can just go straight for the manipulation. I was like, wow, an easy +4. So +1, we'd be eliminating competition and gaining a customer base. +4 manipulation, you don't really want to put thousands out of a job, do you? And +5 persuasion, you can't tell me that negotiating on airtight deal doesn't appeal to you. Only medium difficulty and a +5 would be huge. Negotiating an airtight deal doesn't appeal to you.
I do pride myself
Success.
on solid contracts, and this one would be especially challenging.
So I need +3 and 2 pips. Or 2 turns. You're part of the greatest legal team in the settled systems. You could handle this. Our profits would be enough to fund any legal battle. Can't you just put aside your concerns and care about people for once? That's not the right call. I'll just go with the easy +1 and hope I get an easy +2 next. Our profits would be enough to fund any legal battle.
You're right. Perhaps I am focusing too much on the negatives.
There's a +2. Basing your decisions off the possibility that something might happen sounds pretty silly to me.
I suppose I might be overreacting a little.
And no manipulation needed.
Well, what do you know? I think you just convinced me. Talent like yours belongs in the courtroom.
The internal neuroamp would make handling any situation a breeze. If you want a real legal nightmare, I'd say the internal neuroamp fits that bill. I'm curious about your thoughts on the internal neuroamp. Have you been preparing for having the internal neuroamp on the open market?
Unfortunately, half my department's been poring over documentation, while the other half is writing up what legal guidance they can.
If you want a real legal nightmare, I'd say the internal neuroamp fits that bill.
Don't even get me started. First off, if I find out you used that device on me, I will tie you up in court on whatever charges I can conjure for the rest of your life.
I did not.
Second, that tech is one major human rights violation that no legal team wants to fight. I'll do whatever I can to make sure it's either severely delayed or collects dust in storage.
Okay, so she's now on my side in both cases. Agreed, the internal neuroamp never should have seen the light of day. Is there anything positive that you can think of about the internal neuroamp? Why dislike the internal neuroamps versus regular neuroamps? And manipulation, with proper legal guidance, the applications for the internal neuroamp are endless. Why dislike the internal neuroamp versus regular neuroamps?
Because the external neuroamps are built to help the user on a personal level. They aid in reason, communication, confidence, all things that can make the difference in a person's self-image. And yes, they can be abused, but that's why there are laws regarding improper usage.
Is there anything positive you can think about for the internal neuroamp?
Tech like this only has good applications when you have complete control over who uses it. Once that tech hits a market, open or private, that control is gone. And not only that, the tech is out there to be advanced or modified by anyone who might get their hands on it.
Agreed. It should never have seen the light of day.
Well, I'm both glad and surprised to hear the one person who has one say that. Masako's lucky to have you at her disposal, even if you are a continual thorn in my side. You may be the greatest asset, aside from the internal neuroamp, that Ryujin has. This exchange has been surprisingly insightful, but now I really do need to get back to my notes.
So I'm trying to do this without using the neuroamp to manipulate people. We'll see how well that goes.
Ooh, look at that. Your surgical wound's healing like a dream. And how's my favorite patient doing? Not seeing any temporal memory flashes or losing time, I hope.
No. I feel great. No side effects as far as I can tell. I'm not here to talk about my health. Nah, I'm used to waking up in strange places. Are those actual side effects?
What? No, of course not. They're purely theoretical.
I feel great. No side effects as far as I can tell.
That's great. I'd say Project Dominion is ready for legitimate human trials in that case. One step closer to seeing market approval. Genevieve is going to be so excited.
Yeah.
So, tell me what you think of the neuroamp.
This internal neuroamp changes everything, Vina. You're going to be famous. Vina, this tech is dangerous. No one should have this sort of power. Just another useless thing rattling around in my head. It gets the job done. This tech is dangerous. No one should have this sort of power.
I hope you're not actually suggesting that the technology I spent years working on and perfecting never sees the light of day.
That is what I'm
This is
suggesting.
groundbreaking work. My life's work.
Persuade. You're a scientist. Hear me out. Just look at it from every angle. If fame is more important than morals, that's on you. I'm going to ask that all research be shelved at the meeting. Do you really not see the downside of this device at all?
Of course I do. But there are amazing things Dominion can be used for, too. Humanity has always created dangers, and we've always policed them as well. The internal neuroamp will be no different. It just needs to find its place.
I mean, she has a point that when new technologies come out, it usually causes lots of problems at first, but then with time, those dangers usually get mostly resolved, never perfectly resolved, but things stop being as dangerous later on once the technology is sorted. So I can see where she's coming from on that. But persuade anyway. I'm going to try and get it shut down. You're a scientist. Hear me out. Just look at it from every angle.
Fine, fine. Make your case.
Oh, you are easy to persuade. Cyberneticist, because that's my background. Think of the internal neuroamp as a gateway to cybernetic improvements everyone can benefit from. Research methods. I know you covered all of your bases in your research. You know the data against it is there. And +6, people will reverse engineer your work. We're going to have a lot more casualties like the clinic. Yes, cyberneticist. It's not clearly stated. Think of the internal neuroamp as a gateway to cybernetic improvements everyone can benefit from. I assume what he's trying to say is that use the knowledge she learned from that to get into cybernetic improvements and just dump the neuroamp.
That's actually a really good idea. Just discovering the compatibility is going to open a lot of doors now.
Yeah, okay. +1, if the internal neuroamp backfires, your reputation will be ruined. +4, if there's enough public outrage, you might never work again. And the other two were already there. We'll go with the +1. If the internal neuroamp backfires, your reputation will be ruined.
You really think they could come after me? Well, this conversation's made me feel like a proper monster.
Oh, that's not
You're
the
right.
point.
In a perfect world, tech like this is used for good. But this world is far from perfect.
Yeah. You're not a monster. You got lost in the excitement of discovering something new. Next time, look at the big picture. The implications of the internal neuroamp are obvious, especially on the corporate level. You're not a monster. You just got lost in the excitement of discovering something new.
It is. It really is. For years, my only focus has been, is this possible? And then, how do I make it work? I never stopped to consider if it was right, or what it would mean. I guess it'll be up to a vote either way. It's not on the meeting agenda, so I assume you'll bring it up yourself? We just have to hope the others will see reason. So the next question is, what will the fate of Infinity Ltd be?
Research methods. There's bound to be something inspiring or new in their research. If we acquire them, it'll be fun to see how they tried to recreate your work. You should vote against acquiring Infinity Ltd. Their research only serves as an example of what not to do. Do you have any strong opinions about acquiring Infinity Ltd?
I'd like to acquire them, although it won't break my heart if we don't. Faye may have stepped over a line in her attempt to replicate my work, but she's a brilliant engineer. I'm very curious to see what else she may have been working on and dig into her research.
Okay, so she's on board. Research methods. There's bound to be something inspiring or new in their research.
That's what I'm hoping for. They may be the underdog, but that doesn't mean they don't have a brilliant mind or two. Well, this has certainly been the most interesting conversation of my day. All we can do now is look forward to the meeting, right? See you in there.
Okay. So we've already got Infinity Ltd because we're at 4 out of 7. So we've got the majority. The neuroamps, I still need to get a couple more people on my side.
You're looking interesting today.
Thanks. Kind of look how I always do.
Just the person I wanted to see. I want to get all the details locked down for this meeting, and I believe you to be one of the best sources available.
Okay. I'm happy to help answer any questions you might have. Good, I want to speak with you about the meeting as well. I think I'm hardly qualified to help make board meeting decisions. That's because I really am the best source available. I'm happy to help answer any questions you might have.
Good. I prefer first-hand feedback when available. You've had the chance to encounter members of Infinity LTD throughout your assignments here. Do you think they're worth redemption? And why?
Of course, if we can save the jobs of thousands of people, we should do it. Infinity is filled with incompetent workers, taking them on as a liability we don't need. The majority of those workers are innocent, they didn't know what was going on. What makes you think I actually had contact with enough of them to know?
You can tell a lot by just looking at a workspace or simply observing a person in their business environment. Perhaps I mistakenly assumed that as an operative here, observation was a talent of yours.
Let's see. If we can save thousands of people, we should. So that's a pro for it. That's a con to not take them on. I don't know if he would care about whether they're innocent or not. Although I also don't know if he cares about saving thousands of people's jobs. But yes, if we can save the jobs of thousands of people, we should do it.
Saving the jobs of thousands is altruistic, which is not a luxury corporations have. It's a financial burden. It would be a huge undertaking on my part.
Manipulation? We'd be getting employees on Infinity's cheaper salary numbers. Fine, just screw thousands out of a job. I'm not sure why I even thought you'd care. You have the opportunity to do some good here. Why not take it? It sounds to me like you've already made your decision, so why even ask me?
Perhaps I wanted to see if I could be convinced otherwise. It's easy to say, it's the right thing to do for someone in your position. But for me, Infinity LTD is a huge financial unknown. It's high risk versus mediocre reward.
You have the opportunity to do some good here. Why not take it?
That is a plea more well spent on Genevieve or Alexis. I prefer to focus on the numbers and leave emotions out of my decision making.
Okay. I'm not going to manipulate him. We already, I think, had... Yeah, it's the Infinity. I'm trying to remember the two numbers. We have one that we have our 4 people we need, and one that we don't. And I think Infinity is the one that we've already won. So, fine, just screw thousands out of a job. I'm not sure why I thought you'd care.
Your disdain is noted. And perhaps you thought I'd care because you're hopeful. Next question. What is your opinion on how Masako handled the mole situation?
I think it was well handled. It proves how capable Masako is at handling any situation. It was sloppy and a mole never should have been possible in the first place. We caught the mole, so I'd say it was a success. It was well handled. It proves how capable Masako is at handling any situation.
And why do you feel it was well handled? Please note I'm not disagreeing. I just want to know the why behind your statement.
Masako and Dalton already had a plan in place to uncover the mole, and it worked. Masako remained cool and stuck to a plan. Prematurely releasing this information would only cause panic, because they didn't immediately panic as soon as the problem was brought forward. I'm not at liberty to discuss the details. Masako and Dalton already had a plan in place to uncover the mole, and it worked.
Being prepared for anything is a great asset, one that Masako excels at. I appreciate the insight. I suppose I should ask if there's anything I can do for you, considering how helpful you've been.
Alright, the internal neuroamp. Tech like that is dangerous and should be banned. Nothing I think of see you at the meeting. What are your thoughts on the internal neuroamp?
It's the next big step for Ryujin Industries. Financially, it'll keep us secure for years to come.
So this guy's just against everything I want. Ha ha! The internal neuroamp tech like that is dangerous and should be banned.
It's only dangerous to those who can't afford one. Hence the added motivation that will bolster sales.
Manipulation. When a rival discovers how to override it, we'll have pure chaos on our hands. Fine, once the lawsuits hit, you'll be drowning in compensation payouts. Can you guarantee all of your employees can afford one?
The guarantee depends on if we're willing to make the financial commitment to outfitting each employee with at least a shielding component. A cost that's not lost on me as CFO.
I think I only have 2 more people, and I need to get 1 or 2 more on board. I don't remember the numbers. I need to pay better attention to those numbers, clearly. Yeah, once the lawsuits hit, you'll be drowning in compensation payouts.
It's possible. But with Alexis and Genevieve driving the restrictions and presentation of such a product, it's also highly unlikely.
It's totally likely.
This has been rather enlightening for me. I appreciate the time.
Okay, so I need... Yeah, I need to get this last person on my side for the neuroamp. Who is the lucky 7th person? Genevieve. I need you to side with me.
Is Masako checking up on me to make sure I'm on her side?
Maybe, that depends on whose side you're on. I didn't realize there were sides to take. I'm here on my own. Why would you think Masako sent me?
Because that's what I do. You want something in this business? You don't pull any punches. The only real question is just how persuasive she asked you to be.
Depends on whose side you're on.
Well, you can let Masako know to rest easy. It just so happens that her agenda lines up with mine. We just need to grab Infinity Ltd. while it's got the public's full attention. I'm all about free PR, especially when it's painting us in a good light.
Okay. Manipulation, it's free now, but it will leave Ryujin in financial and legal troubles. Coming to the rescue of all those innocent workers will really look good for us. What's the benefit of acquiring Infinity Ltd? And there must be a downside to acquiring Infinity Ltd, so what is it?
The only downsides are the unknowns. Lyndon and Alexis are gonna have a lot on their hands. Not that I'm getting off easy. Whatever they find, if it hits the public, that's gonna fall on my shoulders too.
What are the benefits of acquiring them?
Infinity is that sad company in distress with thousands of employees terrified of their futures right now. We are the warm embrace of security coming to rescue them.
Coming to rescue all those innocent workers will really look good for us.
I'm sure I can squeeze enough goodwill out of this to last us at least a year.
You know, if you really want to help Ryujin in the public's good graces, there's one big thing to consider. I'm actually here to discuss more than just Infinity Ltd. You have bigger things to think about than Infinity Ltd when it comes to the future. Is the public all you actually care about?
The consumer is our lifeblood. So capturing their wants and desires? Of course, it's all I care about. I'm sure I wouldn't be in this position today if it wasn't.
Okay. You know, if you really want to keep Ryujin in the public's good graces, there's a big thing to consider.
All right. I suppose you've earned the right to voice your opinion after everything you've done, qualified or not. So let's hear it.
The internal neuroamp, that research should be banned. We should be exploiting the internal neuroamp every chance we get. The internal neuroamp is a game changer, but it needs strict guidance. Have you considered just how powerful the internal neuroamp is?
Of course, which is why I know it requires some very delicate handling. But unlike Alexis, I believe we can get the proper restrictions and regulations in place to have a marketable product. We do it every day with weapons we arm ourselves and our ships with.
The research should be banned.
The possible backlash on tech like this is not lost on me. However, the internal neuroamp will define the next era of tech, with Ryujin at the forefront. It's not an opportunity you just walk away from.
Manipulation, you'll never be able to fight off the amount of moral backlash. There's no way you could reveal tech like this and keep the public's favor. Do you really think a product that can manipulate unknown citizens will be accepted by the public?
Not when you word it like that. But a product that can settle disputes or help broaden someone's point of view? Then you really have something that consumers will buy into. Well, it seems your talents really do stretch beyond just being an operative. Good talk. Maybe I'll even consult you on future endeavors.
Oh, I think I lost that one. Usually questions don't end the conversation. They just go back, and that one I chose because it was a question. And it unfortunately ended the conversation. I think that means it's our loss, and the neuroamp will go out into the public. Which is fine, I suppose, if they do get the proper regulations.
All right, everyone. As you all know, we've successfully exposed Infinity Ltd's botched human trials and murder for hire through SSNN. The public is demanding their leadership, namely Lucas Drexler, face trial, and he's probably writing his resignation as we speak. Ryujin will be launching a statement, but I believe now is the perfect time to acquire Infinity Ltd.
Our intention to purchase Infinity Ltd would put the employees' minds at ease. The announcement would garner public faith for Ryujin. We should act now before a competitor beats us to it. Misako hasn't steered you wrong yet. I'd trust her judgment or say nothing. Our intention to purchase Infinity Ltd would put the employees' minds at ease.
The operative is right. Legal ramifications are a certainty, but the benefits far outweigh the disadvantages.
Arguments?
Infinity Ltd could be the Pandora's box of financial and legal risks. I simply cannot support an acquisition.
We should be crushing our competition, not rescuing them from their own flaws. This is a weak decision, Misako, and you know it. In fact, I move that Misako be removed from CEO altogether.
Ularu, this isn't a line you want to cross.
And considering you're the mole, if anyone's going to be removed from power, it's going to be you.
Hold up. Are you saying you lied to us?
Dalton, the last meeting we had, you distinctly said Imogene was the mole, and she'd been dealt with.
We only lied about Imogene so Ularu would incriminate herself. Imogene was just another victim. Ularu set her up. Imogene is innocent. She played a vital role in helping expose Ularu. So we had to lie to get the job done. I'm sure you're familiar with those methods. We only lied about Imogene so Ularu would incriminate herself.
Do you even have any proof to back up this outrageous claim?
Of course.
Of course we do. The malicious code you hid on this slate to upload incriminating evidence against Misako onto Lucas Drexler's computer.
To put it bluntly, Ularu, you're fired. Security will hold you in your office until a proper exit interview can be done.
This isn't right. I should at least have the opportunity to resign.
And allow you to still be marketable to a competitor? I don't think so. This may be news to me, and I will be reviewing the evidence closely. But this isn't something you just get to walk away from.
You're finished here, Ularu. Enjoy unemployment. You're going away for a long time. I'm sorry, Ularu. Now, you're finished here, Ularu.
Security, escort Miss Chen to her office and see that she stays put.
You'll regret this. All of you.
I believe the only regret would be trusting you to begin with.
All right, back to business. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Good. Alexis, start drawing up the necessary documentation. Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up?
I believe work on the internal neuroamps needs to be shelved. The internal neuroamp is too dangerous to market. I move to postpone production on the internal neuroamp. The internal neuroamp needs to be shelved.
The internal neuroamp is a key component of Ryujin Industries' success for the next 10 years, if not more. Why would we shelve it after we've finally perfected it?
It takes away a person's free will. It's not right. The moment the public learns about it, no one will trust anyone anymore, especially Ryujin. The internal neuroamp is basically a mind control device. It should be banned. There are too many moral repercussions that need to be answered before it's safe to market. I'm gonna go with the second one. The moment the public learns about it, no one will trust anyone anymore, especially Ryujin.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's right. Regardless of the pros, the cons are too morally and ethically irresponsible to move forward with.
Agreed. Not to mention the security risks.
Very well. All in favor of shelving Project Dominion?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Vina, Prep Project Dominion for storage.
Hey, we succeeded.
Any other matters to bring forth?
Hello?
None? This concludes our order of business for today.
I vote that I become the new CEO. Can I push that forward?
Work to do.
You operatives really will wear anything.
What is everyone complaining about my outfit? Fantastic.
Shelving the internal neuroamp. Not the outcome I anticipated.
Maybe now you see why the internal neuroamp is dangerous. That implies I used it, which I intentionally did not. The board agrees this decision is for the best. I tried, things didn't go as planned. I've never been one to do as I'm told. The board agrees this decision is for the best.
The truth remains. Lucas Drexler learned a hard lesson, and we exposed a traitor among us. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin.
If that's your way of saying thank you, you're welcome. I was only doing my job. Hey, Aloy. Thank you. That's quite a compliment coming from Ryujin's CEO. I hope this means I'll be getting a raise. That's quite a compliment coming from Ryujin's CEO.
It's well earned and deserved. I truly appreciate the work you put into exposing Ularu. No operative has ever had to investigate our own to the extent that you did. I can imagine it may have been a lot of pressure, considering you were fairly new at the time.
It was nothing I'm not used to, whatever it takes to keep Ryujin on top. No pressure at all, these are the types of jobs I live for. How often does Ryujin have someone turn against the company?
Not often, and certainly not to this degree. We have the occasional employee consider selling information, but thanks to our security and operations teams, we always catch them before any damage can be done. This was the first time anyone from either department was involved.
No pressure at all. These are the types of jobs I live for.
I hope that enthusiasm sticks with you for the foreseeable future. Imogene's instincts were right about you. Now, as promised, I have your bonus. I hope you'll find it appropriate for all you've done. And I'm promoting you to senior operative. You've more than earned it.
That's an understatement. Thank you. I'm not sure this job is really for me. Give me the details on my new position.
As for the details, I think someone back on the operations floor would prefer to explain those to you.
Okay. So yeah, there was basically no consequences for my more aggressive means of my last stealth mission.
This deal could be huge for...
Which is nice, because I was rather unsuccessful in... Why am I going to lobby? I was unsuccessful in... stealthing. Is that just the end of that faction? It is. So now it's put me on a random activity to talk with a bunch of my crew. Let's talk to... Wait, I can select more than one? No. It somehow selected all three. Weird. Well, let's go talk to Imogene. But if she does end up just giving me like basic routine side quests, then I'm gonna ignore them. What kind of game is this and what is the story? So we're coming in, well, I guess you're coming in kind of at the end of Starfield. The basic gist of the main quest, which is not what I've been working on lately, is that we stumbled across some strange material that gave us weird visions and got invited to a group called Constellation that explores space and tries to figure out why things work and how things work. And I won't go through spoiling the whole storyline, but we've got...
Congrats on the promotion. From what I hear, it's well deserved.
Yeah, we've got a lot of more details now on what was going on with that and what our next step forward is. And we'll get to there when we actually get back onto the main quest. In the meantime, I've been doing a bunch of these side faction quests. And so we were working with Ryujin Industries, but we've just finished that off, which is sort of a covert operatives sneak in and steal secrets from other corporations and implant false evidence, etc. And we've now reached the end of that quest line. So next, I think I will be doing the next and last faction quest. But first, we'll talk to Imogen, who is my immediate boss here at Ryujin, and see if she has anything further to say.
You've certainly shaken things up around here. I still can't believe Ularu tried to frame me. An obvious misjudgment on my part. But now that's all in the past. It's time to get back to your typical day-to-day.
Whatever Ryujin needs. It's good to see you back in the office, Imogen. I'm ready to get back to it. After all that, I'm not sure anything could hold my interest. Really? Right back to work?
Of course. If you think anyone here believes in downtime, forget it.
It's good to have you back in the office.
And I'd say it's good to be back if I hadn't returned to a mountain of paperwork. Now, since you were new, you've been dealing with people, but most of our assignments are generated on the mission board. The board holds any available assignments that our techs have pieced together, and I've approved. Questions?
No, I'm good. That makes your job a lot easier, so I don't get to deal with you anymore. What's a mission board? What kind of assignments are these?
Nothing you aren't already familiar with. You experienced the majority of what we do here during your training, if you recall. Uploading a few files, manipulating a narrative or two, obtaining schematics, it's just more of the same.
Okay. I'm good to go.
Good. The mission board is generally self-explanatory anyway. With your promotion, you've earned yourself an office, so whenever you're ready, you can find your own personal mission board inside.
Oh.
The best perk of them all, you're free to make your own hours. Oh, and congratulations, of course.
Thanks, Imogen. I'll see you around. I've always made my own hours. Can I access the mission board outside of Ryujin Tower?
No, only within the tower. The security risk would be far too much to allow access to that data in a public space.
Okay, I'll see you around.
You certainly will. Go check out the board, and if you have any questions, I suppose I can start up an open door policy. Just for you.
Okay, so yes. We are done with the real quest. I'll just take the ammo, because why not? The gun is not great. More ammo. Digipix. I can't use the computer. I'll just grab all of that. Okay, but as it is, I'm not going to do random generated side quests because those are boring. So instead, we will work on the last faction of this game, which is to go undercover with pirates for the UC Vanguard.